Hello, my name is Justin Bright, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program version 1.2, in which I am attempting to make this rocket less wobbly. Let's see if we can just auto-strut these pieces. That'll give it a little bit more stability, and auto-strut this at the heaviest part, which will be down here in the bottom somewhere. Anyways, yes, welcome. We are launching a moon mission right now, and we are going to send Plucky, Jebediah, and Bob off to land and return from the moon. And here we go. And off we go. Oh, I see. That's actually being pushed a little bit off to the side by the stability enhancer, by the feet. That is not great. But I think that should be fine. I don't think that's torquing it enough to cause any kind of problem or to give us any loss in efficiency on these engines. Oh shoot, you know what? We don't have any solar panels. So let's just very quickly throw some solar panels on this silly thing. Gosh darn it. It's always something. So let's actually put them down here. And we're going to tilt them up like that so that they catch the sun. We don't need a lot, but we do need some to actually maintain the power usage that we're going to have on this thing. All right, one more try. All right, here we are. 3, 2, 1, launch. Oh my lord. Auto strut, please. On auto strut? Auto strut? Oh gosh. Yeah, those things, it just seems like the auto-strutting while you're moving just locks it down wherever it happens to be. I really hope that doesn't turn into a problem. Yeah, I'm a little bit afraid that this is gonna bounce around chaotically and explode because they're clipped into each other. And as soon as this part decouples, because right now this is part of the same vessel, which means it kind of behaves on its own set of rules, but once they decouple, this is two separate pieces, and they're going to collide with each other, and it's going to be inside, so this might be bad. Continuing to burn straight up because I just know that it's going to be problematic as soon as I'm going to go down to a very low thrust to weight ratio. Oh, they did kick them off, but nothing exploded, so that's nice. Alright, so I'm telling it to maintain our prograde vector because we do not actually have a ton of thrust to weight here. So you'll see my speed is actually reducing a little bit, but I'm counting on us being high enough and being able to, and having gone mostly straight up, that we'll be able to counteract that and burn off enough fuel to get ourselves into a decent orbit after this. Alright, we're starting to speed up again as we've burned off some fuel. Now as we launch, yeah, we had a bit of a chaotic intro to this episode, but my last episode was pretty much just me talking through my thought process and the way that I build things in the VAB, how I plan mission profiles and so forth, so I'm unlikely to do too many more episodes like that where I talk about these things in such great detail. I'm probably from now on just going to let the rockets speak for themselves and talk through them as I actually accomplish the mission. But I figured it might be entertaining at least once to see the kind of thinking that goes into planning this kind of silliness. Just checking the panel for this is the life support status panel, and that tells you how much of various life support bits you have left. And this says 15 days for electric charge, which I'm not sure why that is. Maybe that's because of the this engine burning actually has an alternator which provides energy, so that might be why that's saying what it is. But we'll see. We will see how it goes. We can actually now pop. Just knock that sucker off. See ya. Oh shoot, I should have used one that didn't leave this little ring on here. Oh well. It's not gonna hurt nothing there. Alright, so we're up. We have an apoapsis up above the atmosphere, so let's turn this down a little bit so that we start to circularize this orbit. And away we go. Let's see. Apoapsis, circularize orbit. Point it down and away we go. There. Actually, we have a couple seconds. Kind of an interesting looking, kind of industrial look to this. That's something I like about Rover Dudes mods, is they all have that kind of utilitarian, heavily used sort of look to them. All right, so doing some math just off the top of my head, I think that we should have just enough to touch down, grab some science, well, let's step by step. So I think we're going to have enough to finish the circularization burn, fly out to the moon, which is going to cost us another 800 or so, 900 meters per second of delta V. Let's finish that burn up, and there you go. So that's going to cost us about 800 or 900 more. Then landing is going to cost us probably 600 or 700, and then taking off again is going to be 500 or 600. I think, just off the top of my head, that's what I can remember. I think I may be lowballing some of these figures, which has gotten me into a lot of trouble before. There we go. Nice. Nice transfer. Wow. Almost made this look like I know what I'm doing. But yeah, just a quick transfer burn out to the moon. We'll whip around, circularize that orbit, and then we'll see once again how we're doing as far as fuel is concerned. Because I definitely don't want to get to a point where I can land but I can't get back, because that causes me to need to do a whole nother mission. Oh, and that reminds me, I forgot to do anything about the transferring crew in orbit. I don't suppose just hopping out and hopping back in counts. Alright, we're coming up on the translunar injection burn. So let's whip this around and fire that engine. So this unassuming, incredibly goofy looking engine is one of the real stars of the show as far as incredibly high efficiency is concerned. I use it on just a tremendous number of vessels for that purpose. But yeah, once we earn some money, and hopefully we're going to get plenty of it from this set of missions, and also from the milestones that we'll be accomplishing when we land, we'll be able to start building our first station. And my thought is that we can build a just a simple science station in low Kerbal orbit like the ISS, or more like Skylab really, just to jumpstart our construction efforts and start trying out some of the parts and seeing what some of the life cycle, or not life cycle, but what some of the life support loops are, because low Kerbal orbit is a very easy place to get started with those things, and very low impact if I need to take somebody off and get them home quickly. Then I'd like to start setting up a base on the moon, and that'll be my first big step. Is we want to get a station around the moon, we want to get a base on the moon, we want to start doing some resource refining, we want to start drilling up some ore and making some fuel, make ourselves a nice depot of fuel around the moon. Or perhaps Minmus. Minmus is incredibly minty, which is helpful, and it also has much lower gravity than the moon does, which makes that a lot more forgiving for sure. As far as do I just go straight in for? No, that's too dangerous. I should be able to make this work. All right, this may be a terrible idea, but let's do it anyways. I'll save before I do it. So normally you would circularize this orbit and then you would then plot your landing, but I think I'm just going to do it live because I make great decisions. And we don't actually care where we're landing this very first time. We're just trying to get down on the surface. And look how close we are already. So let's flip this to surface mode. It's a little wiggly. Electric charge looking good. Supplies looking good. F5 for safety. 20 seconds to periapsis. You want to, when you're trying to land on a body, you want to do it as low, you want to start your landing burn just as low as possible so that you minimize the amount of time you're fighting gravity, because all the time you spend going down is time that you're accelerating actually towards the body that you're landing on. And if you're accelerating towards something, well, that's not helpful as far as landing is concerned. So you want to minimize that as much as possible. So I got a nice low periapsis of 10 kilometers, and we're just going to land straight away, right from our transfer injection. Let's see what the science has to say. Actually, we have a lot of science here. I thought I already got most of this. Crew report, temperature scan, pressure scan, goo observation, and material study. Plenty of good science. So let's stash that. Container collect all. And then reset all science. Since I have a scientist on board, I can just remotely reset things, which takes all that grind out of doing science in multiple biomes. All right, Bob, why don't you hop out, headbutt the thing a little bit. And can I click on you? There we go. EVA report. Let's record our thoughts on the situation and then get the heck back in. There we go. So since this lower service module rig is going to get tossed and burnt up in Kerbal's atmosphere, I have to remember to grab the science out of that on my way down. But for now, let's see. Looks like we are going to land just on the other side of this crater. So let's deploy this landing gear and begin our burn. wonder if I can land right on that little ridge. That would be cool. Estimated burn 8 seconds, impact in 12, 11, 10. Burn, burn, burn. Beautiful. And we have 1,000 meters per second of delta V left, which is going to be plenty to get into orbit. It's going to take about 800 or so, or 500 or 600. Ooh. Thump. Whoa. Dancing. I'm dancing. Perfect. We have landed. We have landed on the moon. But it's going to take somewhere between 600 and 800 meters per second to orbit the moon. And I'm hoping that with the amount that I have left, I'll be able to actually get home. I think this should be enough, but it has been a while since I've eyeballed these values, so who knows? We may be setting up a rescue mission. Crew report, temperature scan, pressure scan. Perhaps we should tap it a few times to be sure, as the pressure gauge is motionless, because we are trying to take observations on the pressure on the moon. Fine dust of the moon is intermixed with some of the samples. You have a sneaking suspicion that they'll never be able to get the lab clean again. Yes, there is regolith in everything. Let's collect, and hopefully collect into the same one we did before. Yes. And reset the science. Alright, Jebediah. Woo! First, do a flip. Oh, thump. In true Kerbal form. Now we bounce and run on the moon. Whee! Ah, now that's a cool shot. Ah, how cool. I love it. Well, let's get an EVA report. I don't think I can grab surface samples quite yet. That'll be after I upgrade the research and development building, but I can plant a flag. With the lovely Jeb's golden face. Let's see. Moon direct. We made it. Can we make it home? I don't know, Jeb. We will find out. So, one last thing. Let's just, whoops, grab onto this. I want you to store this EVA report so that we can take another one while we're in the air, or while we're above the surface, because there is more science to be had from that. Alright, well that is gorgeous. And now, I think it's time to head out. No use resting on our laurels. Now here, I'm actually aligned in such a perfect way that I could burn straight up, and that would be retrograde, but I don't think I have enough fuel to do that, so let's not do any brute force silliness at this point. Let's just head out. And because there is no air here on the moon, I can just point sideways immediately. Alright, so that gives me a apoapsis of 50 kilometers over on this side of the moon here. So let's point downward a bit. This should be enough, but only just to get home. So let's accelerate. Ooh, we have like 4 EVA reports to do, apparently. Why don't you grab one and see what happens? Just above the lowlands. Bob. Bob, get back in. Bob, what are you doing? There we are. I did not this time pick up the mod that switches the EVAs for the crew reports, which makes that a little bit easier. You don't actually have to jump in and out of the ship every time. Because that gets a tiny bit tedious, as you can see. EVA, report, and in. More science, more science. Oh, looks like we are now high over the moon, so we have yet more science to be done. Bop, bop, bop. And an EVA report. And let's collect the science and reset. We'll get past this, and then let's circularize this orbit. Ooh, I could not have cut this a whole lot closer if I wanted to. Let's see. So at 166 meters per second, we are only getting out to a 2.5 million meter periapsis. So let's just tweak these orbital parameters a little bit. Okay, we are fine. We are completely fine. With 70 meters per second of delta V to spare. Whew. I was getting a little nervous that I was not quite going to make it back. But once you are in orbit around a given body, whoops, not that way, this way. But once you're in orbit, you're really most of the way there. And so long as you're in orbit, that's a lot easier to mount a rescue towards than it is to try to land on a very specific point. Let's get this burn as precise as I can. And there we are, 28 kilometers, beautiful. Alright, so 1 day from now, Jebediah and Bob will be home. With science and stories to tell of landing and planting a flag on the moon. Whoa, what the heck? What the heck? I wish that was not happening. Maybe if I just don't touch anything. Goodness gracious. Alright, so let's time warp a little bit on my way back. Looks like we are in orbit around Kerbal, and as promised, there is no more science to be had here. So, one last EVA. Let's point in a not weird direction, if you don't mind. And whip that hatch around towards me. So what I'm doing now is, as promised, oh my lord, this camera. What I'm doing now is I'm grabbing the science from this capsule so that we can return the data safely inside our crew capsule. Beautiful. So, like I've done before, let's... Oh, and you'll see here's a new mod that I'm using called Trajectories, which shows you atmospheric trajectories. Looks like he's done some really good updates on this one in 1.2. This is my first time using it since 1.2 dropped, and it looks great. So let's warp right there, right before we get to the atmosphere. And it actually shows you a little X where they expect you to land. How close am I? Looks like I need an EVA report really quick. Quickly, quickly, quickly. All right, I'm gonna ignore that one. We are just too close. Now I'm gonna burn a little bit, just to dump the tiny amount of fuel I had left, and now kick off that stage that we no longer need, and now we'll just come home in this. Well, that's turning a ominous cherry red. I should have checked the temperature limits on this thing before I tried to re-enter with it, and no heat shield. Oh dear. Oh dear. And there is just nothing I can do at this point other than hope that this survives. As we hear my service module exploding below us and lander. Okay, I think we're going to be okay. I think we've hit the peak heating and are now receding as far as that goes. Ooh. Read the descriptions and statistics of your parts before using them, folks, or else you will give yourself a tiny heart attack as you expect your entire mission to fall apart at the very last moment. EVA report. I think that's a trap. Go away. Stop trying to kill my Kerbals. Beautiful. Looks like we are coming home safely. Although this is rotating weirdly. Not sure why it's pitching and yawing like that. Oh, whatever. Deploy these parachutes when safe. Lovely. Look at that, I can almost see a hint of land below me. Where am I? I have no idea because it is dark. Not sure what I expected there. I wonder if I can change the spread angle while we're out. Ha! That's weird. Don't do that. Descending slowly. What is that? Oh, look at that. You can see a whole bunch of the planets out in the night sky. So if I actually take a look at the distant object enhancement settings, which is what allows me to see these from here. If I click show names on mouse over, apply. That is Moho making a rare appearance below Duna and Eve. Ah, how cool. All lined up nice in a row. Gives us a nice reminder of where this is going. Everything is in preparation for colonization of other planets. But first, we earn some money and return Jebediah and Bob as heroes of the first moon landing. Mun landing, I guess. All right, 619 science just from one landing. And we're up to 800,000, so we've earned over 600,000 funds from that last mission. And Bob has gained a level. Plenty of milestones and contracts completed. Alright, so that's about all the time I have for this episode. We got a lot done, landed on the moon, got some science, got some money, and now I'm going to do a little bit more work to get a little more money. I'm launching a little part test ship in the background here. Don't think you guys need to see this at full speed. But we're trying to earn some money so that we can go and start building stations and so forth in some of our next missions. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.